This podcast is a proud member of the Unidentified Network.
Police in Las Vegas found themselves in the middle of a UFO mystery last month after
To us. Big eyes, they have big eyes.
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal? Or?
One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious.
What sign? I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Okay, hang on.
He's right.
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
Mythical Legends Podcast with your host Daniel Barnett.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mythical Legends Podcast. I'm so glad to be back, and it's Sunday, and we have an amazing podcast for you all today. And we have a new special co-host that will be co-hosting with us today. And all of you know him. He will be at the July conference. He's part of the Centre of Fortean Zoology, a very, very English man, if I shall say. So let's bring him on, and then we'll get on with today's podcast. Mr. Jonathan Downs.
Good afternoon. Good evening, Daniel.
Hey, John, how are you, mate?
Oh, always the better for doing one of these things with you. I've been looking forward to this.
Yes, so it's very, very special podcast as well. And I will tell everyone that is watching this now that this is the first paranormal ghost story we are having on the podcast. So all Bigfoot fans, it is still Bigfoot related, but it's the first ghost story that we're having on this podcast. So, John, one of the reasons why I've invited you on is because do you want to tell the viewers very quickly about kind of, because you're more you're more knowledgeable than I am about the paranormal world.
Well, I've been doing this stuff for many, many years. My house is haunted to heck, and there are ghosts all over the house and the grounds, and I've been aware of this stuff since I was a little boy. I was brought up in Hong Kong, told all the local ghost stories by the Chinese family who brought me up, and this has just been part of my life as much as hunting for mystery animals is.
Wow. So to everyone watching this, we have an incredible podcast lined up for you. And we have this great co-host with us. And I feel like it's going to be a brilliant podcast, don't you, John?
I'm looking forward to it. I've read a little bit of our guest this evening's stories, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him about it. He's had a couple of very strange and, dare I say, extraordinary experiences. Sorry, I just had Mr. McQuillan just sent me a message on right in the middle of that, and just flashed up and completely through.
So this person, I am very, very honoured to say that this is his first podcast that he's been on, and he's a little bit nervous, but I'm sure he's going to do a fabulous job. So let's bring our guest on and have some fun. So this guest, he's, I think, and when it comes on, don't quote me, but around 21. Don't quote me though. And he has just come into the Bigfoot world, so he's just been interested. and he's got interested into finding Bigfoot. Missed Renee Holland in the UK. I can't believe. In fact, I'm going to tell him off when he comes on screen for missing Renee. But let's bring him on and have a brilliant podcast. So please welcome to the stage Alex Watson.
Yay!
Hi. Hey, everyone.
Hi, Alex, mate.
How are you, Alex?
I'm very good, thank you. And you, mate? I'm a bit nervous, but I'm okay. I'm good.
Good, mate. Nerves mean that you are going to enjoy it more. Now, the thing with us is we are going to have a laugh in this podcast. We always do, and especially with our co-host. He looks like he's Santa, so it's quite funny.
Thank you very much, Daniel. I'm on my best behaviour. I haven't called you a horrible child yet.
Well, you just have. So, Alex, I'm going to dive. Excuse me, John. So I'm going to dive straight into it, Alex, and I'm going to start with a question which I think all the viewers watching now would be interested in. Could you tell us a little bit about your background before you came into the Bigfoot world and before you had your sightings?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've always believed in Bigfoot, but it's only recently that I found you guys on Facebook and I wanted to find out more. Ever since I watched Finding Bigfoot, Expedition of Bigfoot, I've always been fascinated by him or her.
Good.
But I've never had a Bigfoot sighting in my life, but I really believe that it's out there somewhere and we're just waiting to find him.
Understanding, you've had a couple of sightings. Could you give us a quick summary of what you think happened in both your sightings? I want to know about both of them, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of them was when I was 6 years old and I was just upstairs in my guest room because my sister was actually having a sleepover in my room with her best friend. So I had to stay in the guest room for the night, and I woke up to go to the toilet in the middle of the night, and then I got back into bed, and I sat back in bed, and there was, to put it in perspective, there was this woman sitting at the end of my bed, and I asked who she was, and she didn't say anything, and she was there for probably about 5 minutes, and then she got up and disappeared into thin air. I mean, I can't really explain what that was. At first I thought it was a nightmare, so I didn't think much of it and I went back to bed. The next morning I went downstairs and said to my parents I had a nightmare last night, and I pointed to a picture on the side of the wall, and it was my grandma. It was my great-great-grandma, who I'd never met before, who had passed away in that room, and I'd never met her in my life, but I could describe the figure detail by detail. Absolutely.
That scares the crap out of me.
Did you ever see her again?
Sorry?
Did you ever see her again?
No, never saw her again. I've had situations where I've heard knocks in the middle of the night and they haven't been my parents, or I've heard there was one time it was really scary. Not doll per se, but it was this teddy bear that just dropped off the floor and just dropped off the windowsill onto the floor. Yeah, it was really, really scary.
That's shocking. I can't get my head around that. What about you, John?
Well, one thing Alex said when he said that, this woman was sitting at the end of his bed, vanished, and never saw her again. Well, that's what happens with most of the women I've had sitting on the end of my bed. They vanish and I never see them again.
Oh, John. So, Alex, that's baffling to me and to everyone out there watching. I'm more, and as John knows, I'm more the Bigfoot researcher and Bigfoot guy, people call
Yeah.
me, or Bigfoot kid, as people call me.
Yeah.
But this is why I have John co-hosting with me, is because this is the first episode of kind of the paranormal I have on the podcast, and that's baffling. That honestly baffles me on, and there'll be several questions that I have
Yeah.
about kind of to go in more detail. But John, are you interested by that?
Oh yeah, very, very much so.
Mm.
I mean,
Go on.
I had my mother died in 2002, and
Sorry to hear that.
when my father was in fact, he was in the same bed that I'm lying in now because he was old and died.
Yeah.
He called me in one night because he could hear somebody breathing.
Yeah.
And I came in, and my friend said, "Oh, don't be scared, Dad, it's the dog."
Mm.
But I came in, I sat on the bed, and I could hear as well as me and my dad. My dad, his lung had collapsed. So he was breathing like that. And so as well as my breathing and his breathing, I heard somebody else breathing. And I thought that doesn't sound like the dog. And then the dog came in and joined me and came on the bed. So there was another voice, another breath breathing there.
Wow.
And
Wow,
he was convinced it was my mum.
Oh wow.
And when he died, about 3 weeks later, I eventually, with my wife, who was also dead, moved into this bedroom. And we never heard my mum's breathing again. And there was a poltergeist on the landing, which, again, I'm pretty sure was my mum.
Oh
Because
wow.
once my dad died, there's no sign of that ever again.
Mm.
wow.
So this, I believe it.
This is what kind of loads of people seem to be experiencing, and a lot of people on the paranormal side of the Bigfoot world seem to relate it sometimes, and it's really interesting hearing kind of some of the experiences that some people have. So Alex, that was one encounter. Could you tell us about your second one?
So yeah, I was with two friends, and I was in my graveyard, well, my local graveyard, and it was probably, I don't know, 12 o'clock at night. And
I would never do that in my life.
no.
Oh, it's one of the rites of passage. It's what teenage boys are always. I did it when I was a teenage boy. I hung around the local graveyard.
Yeah, no, we were just wandering around in my local graveyard at 12 o'clock at night, and as we were walking out the graveyard, we heard this banging in the church, and we thought maybe someone's moving something, or some maintenance is going on at late at night. But anyway, we came back to where we heard the banging, and we went behind the church, and there were these two red eyes looking at me and my two friends. The figure we saw was probably about 9 foot tall, 10 foot tall, and way taller than us. And it was honestly really scary. And my mate got his camera out and filmed what we were seeing. And then as soon as we got evidence that what we thought, as soon as we got the evidence, we ran straight out the graveyard and like all the way home, which was a 5-minute run. So, but then once we got back home and we checked over the footage, nothing was there. Nothing was there. The eyes weren't there. The banging, all they could hear was the banging on the video, but the figure wasn't there, and we could see it as clear as day because it was these two massive big pools of red eyes.
Wow, that's so. My question is, Alex, what is How did you feel at that point when you were stood there at that point? What was going through your mind?
Well, at the start of it, I wasn't really thinking too much of it, and then when it became real to me, when I walked back, I felt really, really terrified. It wasn't like anything of my other experience because, I guess that I've kind of felt the other ghost or spirit was a good spirit, and this one was a bad spirit. It just looks completely and utterly scary. I was absolutely terrified, and we got the heck out of there.
I don't suppose you know this, but what side of the church was it you saw this thing, guys? The north side, the south side?
I think it was the south side, so we were on the north side. Yeah, south side.
That's interesting, because of the north side was where they buried all the unbaptized infants who died before they could be baptized, and where in up to fairly recent times they would actually put the body of a black dog there. They would actually kill a black dog as a sign, which is
Wow.
quite interesting.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But
My
it doesn't work out because he saw it on the south. So
my question to you, Alex, is if you what do you think that was? Without knowing any of the Bigfoot knowledge and without knowing what we've said, what do you think that was?
Like at first, I tried to find a logical explanation for what it could have been. I thought it could have been a cat that was perched up on the wall with bad eyes or something like that. But I was like, a cat couldn't climb up that high, and it definitely couldn't have made the banging noises. So, if I wasn't interested in ghosts or Bigfoot or anything like that, I would believe it was a ghost or a poltergeist at the time. I would have believed it then and then, because if I didn't believe in any of this stuff, I would have believed it there and then that it was a poltergeist.
Okay, I got a question. You said that the apparition was about 9 foot tall?
Yes.
You saw two red eyes, and I'm trying to think how to put this into English because I know what I'm saying. Were the red eyes as wide apart they would have been if the apparition had been normally proportioned, if you know what I mean, or were they too close together or
too wide?
Sorry, say that again. You buffered out.
Okay. Let's assume for the moment that the apparition you saw was a proportioned human being, even though it was 9 foot tall. Would the two red eyes you saw be normally proportioned on the head of the apparition, or did they seem like they were too close together or too wide apart?
They weren't too close together, but they weren't too far apart, and absolutely not a human being. Absolutely not a human being. It was way.
That's my next question, Alex.
Are there any 9 foot tall people living in your village?
No. My question would be: would those eyes fit the same length as our human eyes?
Yes, I'd say so.
Yeah. That's interesting.
That's exactly what I was trying to ask, Daniel. You did it in one sentence, whereas I yammered on like a silly old fool.
So okay, that's really interesting, and the reason why I find that interesting is because if you're saying it can't be human, and the bit that gets me is why wasn't it on that video when you got back? Why? So there's obviously something there. Did you make sure exactly that spot, or is there a chance that it could have been an angle? What did your friends think of this?
I mean, we looked directly at the being, whatever it was, and when we pointed the camera, we pointed the camera directly at the being, and it just didn't come out of anything. All we heard was the banging, and as far as I'm aware of, it was pointing directly at the being. I don't think it was pointed at an angle, so where I can see it, or I don't know.
Well, I find that really, really intriguing. What about you, John?
It's the thing that annoys me most, and I was just about to use a word that begins with P, but I didn't, about camera phones. Because if you're doing it with a camera, you can look through and you've got a viewfinder.
Yeah.
If you're doing it through a phone, you haven't. And my next question would have been to you, did you see it through the viewfinder when it was pointed at the apparition, whatever it was? But because it was a phone, you obviously couldn't. But I find this fascinating because it ties in with an awful lot of sightings of what are broadly called British Bigfoot, although I don't think anything of the sort. Because although I believe in North American Bigfoot, I've seen one in Britain, and whatever I saw, it was not flesh and blood. It was not an unknown species of higher primate, like your apparition in the graveyard. But it was a 9 foot long, 9 foot tall, human shaped thing. And I wanted to find out what things are.
I mean, it could have been a Bigfoot, but I don't know. It could have been a Bigfoot. It was like directly in like this little village, and it was in the graveyard. So I don't know if Bigfoot would come into civilization to. I don't think it would come into civilization to. Maybe
something that I'm going to mention, Alex, from my knowledge of Bigfoot, and I'm only doing it a year, but John can kind of quote me on this. A lot of sightings with Bigfoot in North America and South America, kind of the whole of the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of sightings, and I know one of my mates, Ronnie LeBlanc, in Expedition Bigfoot. I don't know if you recall this, but they actually found some stuff in a graveyard. Now, off screen, there's also a lot of sightings in graveyards. Now, if you were thinking paranormal, and let's say this is what I had a chat to Ronnie about, is that energy, because energy can be quite strong. So if that went into graveyards, it would match up. Now, off screen, Alex, I would actually like to actually find out the location, so then I can have a look on maps, and I don't want you to say it on screen. Would you like to have this sighting again? If you had to go for it again, would you like to have it, or would you not?
Absolutely, yeah. Everything to do with the paranormal activity, Bigfoot, everything like that. I'd love to have another eyewitness encounter.
Wow. Well, you are one of very few, Alex, who would like to encounter something again, because I've interviewed many people who said absolutely not. I don't want to see it again. It scared me right. So, guys, I'm gonna. There's a short break, and we'll be back after the break with a slightly different topic. Thanks, guys.
For half an hour on Saturday afternoons and for a quarter of an hour on Wednesday evenings. The world's only show about hard science with shit.
He was in the church with a mate.
And it's co-presented by an anthropomorphic chicken. Be there will be square.
So, Alex, what got you interested in Bigfoot before your sightings?
What got me interested in Bigfoot? Expedition Bigfoot and Finding Bigfoot, really. I've always been fascinated by their TV shows and TV programs and everything.
Wow. So I am so annoyed that you missed the event. I'm so annoyed you missed the event because we had Ronnie with us. We had Rene with us, and we had RPG with us, Ryan Golembeski with us. Have you watched every episode of Expedition Bigfoot?
Oh wow, that's amazing. That's incredible.
I'm very fond of Ryan. I like him a lot.
Yeah. Have you watched every episode of Expedition Bigfoot?
Pretty much, yeah.
Do you know RPG from it?
Yes.
Yeah. Say RPG will be back in July if you wanted to come meet him.
As much as I want to, I'm in Ireland.
What the freezer set?
The what? No, the country.
I know, you silly bugger. I couldn't resist that.
So, Alex, there are many opinions about what Bigfoot is. Some people believe that it's flesh and blood. Some people think it's paranormal, and there's even other opinions on what Bigfoot is. What's your opinion?
I couldn't really answer that question. It's like a big ape. It's like a massive big ape or something like that.
Flesh and blood, then?
Yeah.
But I think North American ones are, certainly.
Mm. What are your plans in the future to learn in the Bigfoot world, and what are you planning to bring to the Bigfoot community, and what do you want to learn about?
I'm being honest. I kind of want to like help all the other Bigfooters to track down Bigfoot and to learn way more about him, and I mean, what are their normal habitats like? Because I know they like woodlands and everything like that, and help set up equipment and everything like that. I just want to help the Bigfoot community any way I can.
Well, to all the viewers out there, if you need a researcher, this guy sounds like he would like to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
Now, Alex, I have very, very much enjoyed this interview. John, have you?
I've seen a total blast.
Yeah, it's been incredible. So, there's a couple of things that I'm going to mention to all our viewers out there before we leave this podcast, and happy Sunday afternoon. So I'm just going to mention a conference that Mythical Legends is running in July. It's July 20th at the Purple Spoons Cafe in Burnham on the Sea High Bridge. We have some incredible guests, including Jonathan Downs, coming down to this conference. We have the incredible Ryan RPG Golembeski flying all the way from Arkansas now. He'll be flying all the way into the UK. We'll have our guest headliner is Brian King Sharp. And he runs an incredible podcast, and to top it all off, the icing on the cake is we have a virtual Dr. Jeff Meldrum who will be talking at this conference, and I know that John and me have been planning and doing schedules for the conference, and it's looking amazing, isn't it, John?
I think you should probably not say a virtual Dr. Jeff Meldrum, because that makes it sound that we've got a clockwork model of him, but operated by remote control. What you actually mean is he will be attending remotely.
Remotely.
More sense.
We have vendors.
If we do have clockwork Jeff Meldrum, I'd quite like to see it. But...
Yeah. So anyone who is who would like to come to the conference, please turn up on the day. Tickets have sold out now, but we will be doing tickets on the door. They are free to get into. It'll just be kind of the numbers that we're at the time that you arrive. So show up at this conference. We have many vendors. I've had one more vendor. And it's my last vendor that has secured today. I'm very, very excited about this vendor. So we will, you will meet this vendor at the event. Incredible work. We have a silent auction. We've got some props from the documentary that we've filmed so far with Renee, Ronnie, Ryan. So it's all very, very exciting. Then I would like to say next Sunday we have another incredible podcast coming out. It's myself and one of Mythical Legends co-hosts, Chris Alsford, will be hosting with me, and our guest is just amazing. So you'll have to wait and see this time next week. And I must remind everyone, if you have an encounter, if you have an experience, or you're just interested in Bigfoot or paranormal, or contact mythicallegends29@gmail.com. It'll come straight to me. You can even go onto our website, mythicallegends.co.uk. Go and subscribe. Check out our podcast, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, everywhere. And we would love to have a chat to you about Squatch. So thanks, guys. We will see you next week. Keep searching, stay mythical. See you soon, guys.